Hi guys, good morning. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is well. Okay, right. Today for this lesson on the Saturday, we're gonna do a quick review on experimental design. I just want to clear out the air on any confusion about experimental design, as well as going through all the question that I put around the exit ticket. So I want to go through the answer on that. And then after that, I'm going to teach you another new term, which is sampling technique, okay? So there's two things that I need to get done today, okay? So let's start. Right, now, from the exit ticket for the Q&A, I still see that there are a few comments saying that they're still unsure what's the differences between repeated measure and independent measure. They're still confused. So I thought that, okay, let me just explain this in the most simplest way, probably with the example that you can relate to. Maybe it will be more easier that way, okay? So, repeated measure here, like I said before, repeated measure means you're using the same participant for every condition of the IV. So if you look at this picture, so there's three conditions of the IV here, 1, 2, and 3. And then if you see, the participants are all similar, which means that the participants have to repeat the experiment 3 times under different condition, like condition 1, condition 2, condition 3. So it means that it's the same participant lah for each condition. So you have Thor, Iron Man, and Spider-Man do condition 1 first, and then they have to repeat themselves in condition number 2. So the same participant jua, and then the same participant have to repeat the same thing for condition number 3. Okay? So if you remember, when we discuss the advantages and disadvantages, and a lot of you say that there will be tired, or they might get better afterwards. So it's true. Like if most likely condition 1, condition 2, condition 3, and the procedure are pretty much similar. They would have to do the same thing but 3 times. So imagine, like, after a while they will get tired of doing the same thing, okay? So hence that's why it might affect the validity of the results. And then, but the good thing is, like you have mentioned before, you don't really need a lot of participant because you're using the same participant for the same condition. Hence, you only need few participant only, okay? Okay, now moving on to independent measure, it's actually the opposite. And to me, it's quite straightforward. It means that one participant only have to participate in one condition saja. So again, the same thing, there's 3 condition here. And if you can see, different condition are using different participant. Condition 1, si Thor. Condition 2, Spider-Man. Condition 3 is Iron Man. So they don't have to repeat the same condition 3 times. They just have to do one condition saja, okay? So it's pretty much straightforward because it's the opposite to repeated measure, okay? One participant, one condition, that's it. And as you mentioned, as we discussed in the advantages and disadvantages, the advantages would be less likely for the participants to get tired because obviously they only have to do it once. And then, but the opposite to repeated measure, this one might require more participant because you're using different participant for different condition, okay? Alright, so I think that's pretty much easy to understand. Okay, now let me just discuss match pair. It's different from repeated measure and match pair and independent measure. Match pair, as I've mentioned before, they were grouped according to their similarities. Okay? Basically, the researcher usually set up a criteria on what they wanted in the participant. And then they will group the participant based on that criteria or based on something that are similar between them. Okay? Now, I guess this one, you might be able to understand this better, I guess, if you're into this. Okay, so there's 3 conditions, condition 1, 2, and 3. So if you see there, I'm not sure if you know these people. But I'm just gonna use this as an example. So condition 1, we have Blackpink and Treasure, which is from YG. And then condition 2, we have ITZY and Stray Kid, which is from JYP. Okay, the company. Condition 3, we have TXT and BTS. So, which is from Big Hit Entertainment. Okay, so basically, if these people are participating in the study, they are basically grouped based on their similarity, which is the company that they come from. Okay, so condition 1 are basically YGs, condition 2 JYP, and then condition 3 is Big Hit. Okay, so this is what match pair design mean. It's basically participants are grouped based on a certain similarities that they have. And that similarities, it depends on what the researcher wanted. It can be like the researcher wanted them to match in terms of intelligence, in terms of personality. It can be anything that depends on the researcher itself. So in this case, I'm matching the participant based on the company that they are from. Okay? Alright, so I hope it's much more clear. I actually feel that my previous explanation was actually quite straightforward, but that's why I'm pretty reluctant to re-explain it again in this form, because it's not this kind of explanation with example. It's not the kind of example that I would give to a sixth form student. So sixth form student, dorang punya level should be to the point that they can understand with not too simplistic example, if you get what I mean. So this is macam I'm explaining to year 7 or year 8 because I'm using the most simplistic and I'm not using any scientific terms or scientific condition. So macam I'm a bit reluctant, but I guess I have to do this to make you understand. But yeah, I really do hope that you are able to think like a sixth form student and you're able to digest and understand the content according to that level, okay? Because this is macam spoon feeding you with the most simplest method, which is not up to the standard of sixth form, okay? So this is probably my first and last trying to explain this in the most simplest way, because I think even my explanation from the last video, it's quite straightforward. It's tinggal saja lagi, you just have to review it again and try to think and try to understand. I mean, obviously just by listening it once, it may not masuk terus, but hence that's why you have to keep on reviewing it, okay? Think about it, and then digest it, okay? Just like macam when you're listening to a song, like when it was your first time listening to a song, right? Sometimes you don't really understand it or you don't like it, but after a while, when you listen to it again, suddenly it gets better, and then you listening to it again and again, and then towards the end, you somehow tahafalkan all the lyrics. Okay, so same thing lah, same thing like studying it. It's like that. The first thing you might know, macam apa ni, I don't get it, but you shouldn't like give up there. You should review it back. Okay, belajar lagi. Try a few times to get it in. Okay, and then after a while, you will get the idea. Hopefully lah. Okay. Alright, now let's review the question on experimental design. So this kind of question is the standard that you should go to, okay? That A-level standard, which is using scientific terms. Okay, now for this question, I can see that there's still quite a number of incorrect answers. So study by Shafiq investigates social interaction of an introvert and extrovert. They were grouped based on their personality, where introvert goes to condition A, extrovert goes to condition B. What type of experimental design is this? So 75.9% of you guys got it correct. Okay, match pair is the answer. But there's still error there, 17.2. So if you see here, the key word is actually the fact that they were grouped based on their personality. So from there, you already know, okay, this is match pair because they are grouped based on what is common, which is personality, either introvert or extrovert. So I thought this question was quite easy to understand or easy to answer because it's kind of given how I already said that they were grouped based on their personality. Okay, so hopefully it's more clear now and you wouldn't make this kind of mistake again. Okay. Now, another question is studied by Firdaus, looks at the effect of breakfast to attention in class. Two level of IVs, those who eat breakfast and those who skip breakfast. 10 participants altogether. All of them participate in both condition of the IV. What type of experimental design is this? Okay, again, there's still mistakes there. If you see there, the key, the hint the hint here is all of them participate in both condition. So which means, like I said today, there's two condition, right? And then there's 10 participants. This 10, they participate in both. So meaning that they have to repeat the eating breakfast condition and the skipping breakfast. So which means this is a repeated measure design. Okay? So don't confuse it with independent measure because the clue is already there. It stated that both condition, they have to participate in both condition. Hence, artinya it's repeated measure. Okay? Alright, now the last question. Fatimatul conducted a study on doodling and on attention in class. 20 participants were involved. 10 goes to doodling, 10 goes to non-doodling. What type of experimental design is this? So again, yeah, I don't get how it is confused with match pair here. So there's two conditions, which is doodling and non-doodling. And match pair mean if I were to match this, artinya I match them with something that they are some similarity that they have inside them, which it wasn't mentioned here. All I said is 10 goes to doodling, 10 goes to non-doodling. So which means that we are using different participant for different condition. Doodling lain orangnya, non-doodling lain orangnya. So obviously, this is independent measure because I didn't say like, okay, they were grouped based on whether they like to doodle or not. Okay, so that would be match pair. I just simply said that 10 goes to this condition, 10 goes to this other condition. So from this is definitely independent measure. Okay. All right. So I hope it was clear. My explanation are clear. What am I gonna say? Okay. So basically, I just want to point out that in A level, it's not enough to just baca the definition and then hafalkan the definition. It doesn't stop there in A level. A level, you have to think critically. Okay, critical thinking is very important. Like this kind of question. This is an application question. Basically, first step that you need to know is you need to learn the content dulu. After you learn, you fahamkan. After you fahamkan, you memorize it. After you memorize it, you have to think and apply that knowledge to this kind of question. So this is the kind of question that will be asked in the exam, okay? Where it's not going to be like, okay, define repeated measure or define independent measure. They will ask, because that is easy. That is basically memorizing saja. They wanted to see if you are capable of critical thinking, which means are you capable of applying what you learned into a new situation that you never encountered before? Like this kind of question. I did not teach you this kind of question, right? But I do teach you how to identify repeated, independent, and match pair. So I want to see whether you can apply that knowledge that you learned to this kind of question. If you are able to do that, it means that you are working or you are using your critical thinking, which is good. Okay, which means that you are up to that standard of sixth form already. Okay, so it takes time, but put effort in it, okay? All right, now moving on to the second agenda for today, I wanted to teach you another term, which is sampling technique, okay? Sample means it's to do with the participant. Now, there's two terms that you need to know in terms of sampling, which is population and sample. Population, you've heard this before. Population is, I'm pretty sure you have learned this in geography. It's a group of people or animal with one or more characteristics in common. For example, the population of a country is all the people who live there. The population of the internet, basically everyone who can access the internet. If I say population of Brunei, it means that everyone who lives in Brunei. If I say population in Malaysia, artinya everyone that lives in Malaysia. Okay? I think that's pretty much straightforward, right? Or if I say population of mobile phone user, it means that everyone who uses mobile phone. That's population. Okay? Sample means that those who participate in a study. So we have Brunei population, so which means that everyone who lives in Brunei. So from there, the sample, I take dalam 10 people from that Bruneian sample, and these people, I pronounce them as sample because these people are those who participate in a study. So sample means the participant lah, siapa saja yang join the study is considered as a sample, okay? Taken from a population and should ideally be representative of the group so that the finding will be representative. So that one I will go into explaining it nanti lagi, okay? So as of now, I just want you to understand that sample basically is the people who participate in the study, which are taken from a certain population, okay? So if you see in this picture, population versus sample. So population means the people that belong to certain groups. Sample means siapa yang kena ambil jadi participant. Okay? So same thing are the second picture there. The target population misalnya PTM student. Okay? So that's the target population. Sample is Miss ambil block 5. So sample yang participate in my study is block 5 saja. So sample are usually taken from a target population. Okay? So know that apa differentnya. Population is yang besar, the whole people, and then sample is siapa saja yang participate. Okay? Okay, now sampling technique. Sampling technique is basically how do you recruit the participant? How are you going to make the participant participate in your study? Okay? What group of people is being studied? It's the target population. Target population is the group of people which the research is hoping to generalize. So target population is basically picking the participant who you want to study. Okay? So for example, if I wanted to study the behavior of PTM student, so that PTM student artinya it's the target population of my study. Okay? So basically target population ini siapa yang you are interested in studying lah. Okay? Like if I am interested in studying children, then my target population would be children. If it's like married couple, then my target population would be married couple. Okay? So there are three types of sampling technique, or three ways of getting or recruiting participant, which are opportunity sampling, self-selecting sample, and random sample. So I'll go through the definition for each one of it, okay? Alright, now the first sampling technique is opportunity sampling. So participants were selected by opportunity, which means researcher simply uses the people who are present at the time he or she is conducting the research. Researcher approach people who are easy to find and available. So if you look at the picture there, it's not that clear. So you have random people who happen to be passing by. So if you look at that picture, there's 4 people who are just like jalan-jalan saja. And then there's a researcher there. So the researcher would approach them and say, "Hi, would you like to take part in my research?" So it's this kind of method of recruiting people who are free or who are present at that time ato is what we call as opportunity sample. I think you probably have seen this on YouTube kala macam where the researcher suddenly goes approach to that person yang macam duduk-duduk saja or jalan-jalan saja, and then they were like, hey, do you mind participating in my research? Chato. So that kind of sampling technique, if they say, okay, yes, I'm sure I would want to participate, artinya that would be opportunity sample. So a lot of researcher actually uses this opportunity sample, especially usually they do it in kalau macam in crowded area like in shopping mall ka or di jalan-jalan. Usually they would do this kind of opportunity sample where they just approach randomly, random people approach saja, tanya if they want to, if they're free and if they don't mind participating in the research. If they say yes, artinya that would be the participant. Okay? So usually researcher would approach people who are easy to find and available. So we call this as opportunity sample. Using anyone that are free, that are present during that time, and that are available during that time. Okay? Okay, now the second type of sampling technique is self-selecting or volunteer. I think this one is pretty much the one that you are well known of. I'm pretty sure you have volunteered to something kan before. So it's the same thing. It's the same definition. It's when researcher advertising participant using newspaper or social media. You've seen this before, right? Sometimes people post it like an ads like, okay, are you interested to join in the study? Or are newspaper ka like giving advertisement that there are research being made if you are willing to volunteer. So those people who are replying are self-selecting, is that they volunteer themselves for the research. They may or may not be paid to participate. Okay, so some researcher they pay for this volunteer, sometimes they don't pay for the volunteer. So it's up to the participant lah. Kalau ia mau volunteer, then that participant will become participant. Kalau in the volunteer, then in the lah. So this kind of sampling is volunteering sample, or we call it self-selecting because the participant offer themselves. Okay, they select themselves to be part of the research. So this is another methods of recruiting participant is by getting volunteers. Okay. Okay, so the third types of sampling technique is random sample. So from the word itself, it means random. You are picking people randomly. Okay, so if you go to the definition on the slide, a sample that has been selected in a way that means everyone in the target population has an equal chance of being chosen. Each participant is randomly selected from a target population in an unbiased way. For example, I need 20 students from PTM to participate. One way to do this is to put every student's name into a hat and pick out the first 20 names. Okay, so random sampling, what it means is everyone in the target population will have the chance to participate in this experiment. Okay, but they will be picked randomly saja in an unbiased way. So it's not gonna be like, okay, I want this participant, I want this. It's not like that. It's random. For example, macam okay, like I have block 4 and block 5, right? My block 4 and block 5 student. So I wanted to conduct a research. I want to use random sampling. So what's gonna happen is everyone in my block 4 and my block 5 will have an equal chance to participate in my experiment. But I just want 20 participants saja. So altogether, my students are 66 students altogether. But I only want 20 students saja from you guys. So in order to pick who's gonna do my experiment, I can use the same example as I put in the slide lah. I can put everyone's name in a hat or in a box, and then I will pick out 20 names saja. So this participant yang 20 ini, this will be my participant. Okay, so this kind of technique is random sampling because everyone in my target population, so my target population tadi block 5 and block 4, everyone have an equal chance to be in my research, but I only want 20, so I just pick it randomly, but in an unbiased way. Okay, so it's not macam, okay, I want this person, this person, this person. So that would be biased, yeah, because I'm choosing it sendiri. Random means I randomly pick them. Okay, so that's basically it for sampling technique. There are only 3 ways to gather your participant or to recruit your participants. Either you use opportunity, which is using anyone that are present during that time, or volunteer, you post it on an advert and people volunteer to it, or random. Random artinya you just randomly select the participant from the target population, okay, but in an unbiased way. So 3 types of sampling technique, okay? Now, just an additional term of the type of studies. This is actually nothing to do with sampling technique, but I'm not sure where to put this slide in, but it's again another key term that you need to know. Basically, this is just categorizing the research study, either it's snapshot or longitudinal saja. Now, this is to do with the time taken to conduct the study. So snapshot study, snapshot ani artinya if you think about it, if you take a picture of something, it's sekajap saja kan. So snapshot study means that a study that takes place at just one point in time, a one-off picture. So involving participant in just for a few minutes. So you have a study yang andang sekajap saja, like sometimes like few minutes saja or 1 hour saja or just for that one day saja ia buat eksperimen atau. So we categorize that kind of research as snapshot study because ia sekajap saja, macam like taking a picture and that's it, just a one-time thing saja. So any studies yang like that, it will be categorized as snapshot study, but because it was just a one-time study. Okay, longitudinal study, from the word itself, it means that it's long. Okay, it takes place over a period of time, usually following one or more participants throughout the period to monitor changes. Usually longitudinal studies ini are case study because case study anang batahkan years kan. So case study are usually considered as longitudinal studies because the study took place for a long period of time because you are monitoring the changes of the participant. Okay, it's not macam sekali saja you jumpa participant ato and then that's it. Kalau ato, that would be snapshot. Longitudinal, it's when the study is batah. Okay, so this is another key term that you need to know. This is pretty much straightforward. Snapshot artinya study itu sekajap, it's a one-time thing. Longitudinal means that the study are carried out for a long period of time. Okay. Okay, so I'm done with the terms today. Basically, the next topic is data analysis, which is mean, median, and mode. So before I proceed to mean, median, and mode, I wanted you to organize your knowledge first. So on Monday, on Monday, I'm gonna have you to do mind maps of the terms for me, but I'm gonna explain how to do it on Monday, okay? But basically, I'm gonna take a few days to just, I let you sort out your notes first, sort out your knowledge, organize your information before I go into data analysis, okay? So I just want you to clarify any confusion dulu about experimental, non-experimental, because you have learned quite a lot of key terms at this point. So time to organize things so that it will be more clear before we go into the next topic. Okay, so I'm gonna end the video here. I'll talk to you guys again on Monday. So don't forget, as usual, please go to the exit ticket and fill it in. Also, I've seen the attendance are okay, but there are still a few people that are missing. The last video on experimental design, there's only 58 that fill in the exit ticket. So I'm still missing around what, 6, 7, 8, around 8 students. So if that 8 student, if you are one of it, please watch the experimental design punya video and then fill in that exit ticket. Okay, all right, I'll talk to you guys again on Saturday. Have a good day.